Live. I see it.
Okay, guys. So here we are live for the
Finally.
first time ever.
Finally.
We finally got it back. We actually did a recording of our discussion of Truthwitch last weekend, and then somebody didn't even look at it till today to check the audio and stuff. So the audio was better on my end. She said I was crystal clear, but her end, she was really quiet. So we decided, since we have live streaming now, we're going to do it today because we can't.
Whoops. Finally.
So we finally got live streaming back. We're super, super excited. I'm the one who set up this broadcast because last time Robin felt that she did badly, so she said I had to do it this time, and we were really nervous. And
excuse me, I am the one who lost us our privileges.
You don't know that because I was looking around on the live stream stuff at that time too. It could have been something I did.
Okay.
So we're here. We're ready to talk about Truthwitch by Susan Dennard. First of all, we will have to make sure anybody who plans to read this book, we highly, highly recommend you go to thewitchlands.com before you read.
Oh, for the love of God, please do.
So thewitchlands.com, I'm actually pretty sure it's run by Susan, or at least by fans. Something. It's related.
It's very nice looking, whoever runs it.
Yes, it is. It's very professional looking. Looks like it's made by the same people who do her website, that sort of thing. It explains a lot of how the powers work, how the cleaved work, how pretty much everything, like how the different politics kind of work, everything that was lacking from the book.
Oh my God, was it lacking?
So we didn't find that. We actually found that after we recorded our discussion, which is another reason we decided to do this live, is because we now understand way better, whereas the recording discussion was mostly us going, I don't understand what was happening.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God.
So it's a very good book. We both enjoyed it a lot.
We were just so confused.
We love high fantasy stuff, but they just automatically assumed you understood how things worked, like the Thread Witch,
which is funny because it's a brand new book set in a brand new universe. How the heck were we supposed to know?
So like it automatically assumes you know how thread families work and what Thread Witches do and how their powers work and how and why so the two main characters are Iseult and Safi. They refer to each other as their Thread sisters, which basically is like your best friend, close enough to be a sister, possibly has saved your life at one point, sort of. Yes. You're not blood family, but you're family.
Yeah.
And Safi is a Truth Witch. Iseult is a Thread Witch. Yes. But apparently, shut up. My watch is yelling at me about events. Iseult's a Thread Witch, and she's a very bad Thread Witch. She can't make thread stones, which are amulets designed to help strengthen certain thread connections between people, because our threads are tied with emotions. You have your heart threads, which actually I started Wind Witch this week because I assumed that the thing would just be posted up. And it actually explains a little bit more on how the threads work. But there are different kinds of threads. There are the kinds that bind, the kinds that break, and the
building, the ones that are growing.
Yes. So like an example of one that binds would be like falling in love.
Or your thread family.
Or your thread family. Or the love a mother has for their child. It's instant, it's binding, it's unbreakable.
Right.
Same with thread family. Falling in love is a little bit more, I think it would be a building one than anything, because I don't know, maybe they can't be broken in this world.
Well, I'm looking. Binding threads can be broken. Some are temporary, such as thread binding two fleeting lovers.
Okay. So the threads that bind two people together in one way or another. Two of the main characters, between Safi and one of the other main characters named Merrick, there are threads that Isolde can see that she says are either going to bind the two of them together or they're going to break them. They're either going to love or hate each other. And as anybody who reads any sort of young adult fiction, that means they're going to fall in love.
Okay, by that point, we already knew they were going to fall in love.
Yeah, we knew they were super attracted to each other. But so Safi is a domna, which is basically like a lady of Kartora. She is being forced to marry the Emperor of Kartora, who is ugly and the villain, like sort of kind of a villain. He wants to use her power for his own kingdom. And she doesn't want to be a domna at all. She just wants to run around and do her own thing with Safi.
Yeah, mostly stealing things.
Yeah, they steal things. They fight. They do all sorts of awesome stuff that domnas aren't allowed to do. They gamble.
Yeah, and cheat at gambling.
So she's been trained, like she's been taught how to do all these things by her tutors. And she never really stops to question why her uncle, her uncle is in charge of her estate, because her parents died when she was really young. So he took over as the, I'm blanking on the word. He's basically managing the estate of, what is her?
Astral.
Yeah, the Hastral estates until she comes of age. Because one, at first she was too young, and two, she doesn't really want to. She has no interest in it. And so she spends the entire, like, she doesn't question why she's being taught all these things that have nothing to do with managing an estate. Like, nothing at all.
Like, here, let's teach you sword fighting.
Yeah, like, why? So they he ends up setting her up with a whole great big elaborate, not like she's being kidnapped, but not really, because it's
right.
But she doesn't want to be there. But yeah, so he's setting her up to be kidnapped, and kidnapped of her own free will, basically. But they do this so that they can get her away from the Emperor, who's found out about her witchery, without like insulting him. And like, I mean, he's the Emperor. What's she gonna do? He's the Emperor of her nation. She can't really deny him.
No.
So they're trying to get her out and get her to New Brevna, where supposedly somehow she'll be magically safe. I don't know. I don't entirely know.
Okay, so you weren't the only one confused by that part.
Like, I feel like getting her to that pier, there was supposed to be somebody there that was going to take her somewhere else. But they don't really get into that because the entire plan gets derailed.
Yeah.
So New Brevna is where Prince Merrick is from.
Mary.
He is desperately trying to save his people. 20 years before, there was a great war that before they all the countries signed for peace, the bigger nations poisoned the land of New Brevna, and they poisoned the water in a certain area, and it's slowly spreading throughout the nation, so that everybody is like they're on the brink of starvation at this point. So he's desperately trying to make any trade he can with anybody to
Save his people.
To save his people. Once he starts making some trades, he can get other, like, and proves that New Brevna can somehow back up their trade with promises, even though they don't have a whole lot, that they can somehow keep making trades and be able to bring food in and feed their people. Now, New Brevna is a matrilineal crown. It goes from mother to daughter. Whoever his sister bitch. And the council doesn't want to name her the new empress. So right now, her father is managing everything, but he's sick and dying. And Merrick is supposed to be the admiral of the Navy. Like, it's supposed to be split. Like, the woman rules the lands, the man rules, and her husband rules the sea, right? Well, Vivia's not married yet, so it falls to her brother. And nobody really wants to give Vivia the crown because she is a ruthless tyrant, basically. And so he makes a deal with Safi's uncle because if he can get her safely to this pier in New Brevna, then it establishes trade with the Hastro lands, which don't have much, but it's a start. Yes. It's a lifeline to keep his sister happy so she doesn't resort to piracy.
Happy.
Yeah, as happy as she can be. But so that's why he's doing this. He has a thread brother named Cullen, who's an air witch, who also has asthma. They never say he has asthma, but the description of his ailment is definitely asthma. They talk about how it's crazy that he controls everybody else's air but not his own. And so Isolde can see all the different threads between people, but thread witches can't see their own, and they can't see other thread witches. Which supposedly this means that they don't have them. I still don't entirely understand why they're not supposed to have emotions. Even with I think it's because they make those amulets to help with the threads. If they were emotionally involved, then they could be, I don't know, something that kind of sort of makes sense, that if they were emotionally involved.
We said this already. The book glosses over things.
Yes. So it assumes we know what thread witches are. It assumes we know what thread stones are. It assumes we know how people's threads work. It assumes we know how the nations are related to each other and how the 20 Years' War ended, or not the 20 Years' War, but the war from 20 years ago ended for, like, they signed a peace agreement for 20 years. It assumes a lot of previous knowledge that you don't have.
I don't know how she can assume we have it.
I think because she's had this world living in her head so long.
Oh my God. I just want a companion book that is nothing but history and how the heck all this stuff works.
That would be really cool.
Yes.
And so overall, it was a very entertaining book. It was very, like, action-packed. There's a blood witch that's following them. That's supposedly blood witcheries avoid witchery. Robin really hates Dwayne. Like a lot.
I hate that he gets his own point of view. He's
basically the antagonist throughout the entire story. He's trying to find Safi and Isolde. He's been hired by the Emperor of Kartor to find Safi, right? And he gets into a fight with them in the beginning of the book and discovers that Isolde has no blood scent, which he can smell people through their blood. He can also control.
Blood mages are bloodhounds, like magical bloodhounds.
He's basically a magical bloodhound who can also control you through your blood.
He's a bloodhound, a bloodbender, and self-heals.
Yeah, he can also use his own blood to make himself run really fast.
I feel like he is just way too overpowered of a character. Like, there should be no character with... Seriously, why are people not searching to have, like, a blood witch on their side? Why do they want a truth witch?
Like, his seems so much better. He can track anyone except apparently Isolde.
Maybe the puppeteer, we don't know.
True, we don't know.
Theory.
Theory?
He can't track void witches. They don't void exist, which means that there aren't very many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's possible. It's possible.
We'll have to wait 2 books to find out.
Probably because he's getting his own book.
Yeah, we'll probably find out then.
So we he's hunting them down. He can't smell Isolde, but he can track Safi across oceans. Like, literally, he can follow anyone anywhere as long as he's caught their blood scent, which seems way more useful than being able to tell if somebody's lying to you.
Yeah.
Not to mention his ability to control people through their blood.
He's a bloodbender.
Like, having, say somebody tries to assassinate you, you have a blood witch on staff, they're there to protect you, they can stop the assassin pretty easily. Whereas Safi can just tell when people are lying.
But you can't even do that very well.
Yeah, because if you believe that what you are saying is the truth with all of your being, she can't tell the difference if it's actually truth or lie.
And whatever her uncle is doing is fooling her magic.
Yes. She thinks he's a drunk. He's not. He's been pretending his entire life. But her witchery doesn't know the difference.
Seriously, what good is her witchery?
I don't know. But yeah, so everybody wants Safi. She's being hunted by Kartora because, his bride, blah, blah, blah,
And also, his bride is a truth witch.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's why he's marrying her.
Yeah. The Empress of Marstock wants her for her witchery. So they're all hunting for her. Vivia is trying to just
be a pirate.
Be a pirate and steal whatever she can. And they
Edwin's not hunting her because he's partially hunting her because he's a truth witch, he also wants money.
So his plot is he gets half of the money that Kartora is going to pay him up front, right? Because that's his whole thing. I get half up front, I get the other half when I bring her back. Except he doesn't want to bring her back. He's planning on hunting her down and then taking her to his father, who the entire book, they don't tell you who his father is, just that he collects rare witcheries.
And besides blood witchery. There's nothing much more rare than truth witchery.
Except maybe Weaver Witch.
Except for maybe Weaver Witch.
So a Weaver Witch is somebody who can control the threads of the cleaved. So what the cleaved are is there are 5 known wells of power. There's a theory that there's a 6th one for the void. But these
they don't admit that void witches exist.
Yeah. But these wells are believed to be what stems the power, like all powers stem from them. There's one for each of the elements. And all witcheries fall under an element. Truth witchery and thread witchery are both ether elements. There's air, there's the air well, there's the water well, earth well, and fire. And so all witcheries fall under that. Iron witchery would fall under earth. Wind witchery would fall under air, that sort of thing. Now, there is a pair of people that are responsible for renewing these wells. They're called the Karawen. You can guess who the Karawen is. If you know anything about books. So Safi and Isolde are the new Karawen. And we're not sure if they get like if they're reborn or if just there's two like if it's like a reincarnation thing. They don't really spell that out, but every so often there's a pair who is the Karawen, and they're responsible for renewing and maintaining the wells. It's been a long time since the last Karawen. Several of the wells have started dying.
3?
3, I believe. Yes, 3. Out of those, once the well has died, it's possible for power to cleave. What that means is if you're a super powerful witch, it's possible to contain too much power for your body to handle. And you basically become a magic zombie. Your blood boils with magic. It comes out in like pustules of black ink, basically. That's acidic. And you start attacking anything in the area. You hunt people down. You kill them. You're mindless. You can't control it.
They're not really zombies, more like they go mad and then die.
Yes. The first time we saw one, it seems like he was trying to eat Safi, so that's why I felt like it was zombified. And so when one person in the area is pulling power like that, it can also cause a chain reaction of other people to cleave. And the more powerful the stronger your magic, the more likely you are to cleave. But only those 3, like only powers that fall under those 3 dead wells can cleave. So I believe the dead ones are water, air, and fire.
I can't remember and I can't find it.
Okay. Oh, it's on the Witchlands.
I know. I'm just trying to remember where it was.
Let me see.
I know for sure water is one of the dead ones.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, it was dead.
Let's see if I can find it.
Oh, there it is. Earth, water, and air.
Earth, water, and air are dead. Okay.
Yes.
So fire and ether and potentially void would not be able to cleave.
So Safi and Isolde are safe.
Yeah.
Too bad what's his face is too.
So while all this is going on, there's a character that people talk about called the Puppeteer. Nobody knows who she is, but she's sort of like the boogeyman. They talk about her. She's able to control the cleaved. And like it's very like mysterious how she does it. She's a Nomatsi, but she's left her tribe, which the Nomatsi are basically like the Romani. They're very insular and
No one likes them.
Nobody likes them. Isolde is Nomatsi. And if you leave your Nomatsi tribe, they tend to view you as an outsider. So like you're supposed to stick with your tribe and stay there. And
they were nomadic until recently.
They travel a lot. They tend to be on the move. And they have one city, Medenzi, where they've actually settled down.
Because no one wants them anywhere else.
Yes. And so supposedly the puppeteer is a Nomatsi girl who is a bad thread witch. She can't do typical thread witch things.
It's a very good description of Isolde.
Yes. Like pretty much the first time she's mentioned is when Isolde returns to her hometown of Medenzi, and her mother is trying to make her look like a good Nomatsi girl who was just gone for a little bit so that she can stay there instead of being killed as the puppeteer because of how much she resembles the description that everybody has of the puppeteer. Because she's a thread witch who has emotion, who shows emotions, because she's not very good at containing them. She can't do typical thread witch stuff, even though she can see them, that sort of thing. So about halfway through the book, you find out that the puppeteer is able to talk to Isolde through her dreams. And the puppeteer is convinced that they're the same.
Yes.
The puppeteer can control the cleaved, and
she can cleave people.
She can make people cleave. So her power, and she can make people cleave from far away.
Very far away.
As long as she knows where they're at, she can make them cleave. And she's basically amassing an army of cleaved for a king who turns out to be Edwin's father. But she calls herself a weaver witch, which nobody's ever heard of before, it seems. But Edwin's father named her a weaver witch, and she's very proud of that title. She hates the title of the puppeteer. But her conviction.
Girl.
Do what?
She sounds like a little girl.
Yes, she does. Like she's very kind of unstably crazy, like a 7-year-old girl, basically. Like 7-year-old girls tend to be kind of creepy.
Well, it becomes kind of creepy when you realize that they're older than, like, when someone older than 7 acts like a 7-year-old.
Yes. But even then, like, when I was 6 or 7, I wanted to be a coroner.
Okay, and now I see where your son gets it from.
And I know other people who have said things like they convinced an entire group of boys that girls have buttons that make them bitches. At just crazy thing, like kids that weird.
Look, I was an angel at 7. Angel.
I also told my grandmother that there were centipedes living in my ears, and one side was good and one side was bad, and every night they'd come out and fight on my nose. And apparently I told her this with such conviction that she thought I believed it. She thought I was crazy.
I think you're still crazy.
Yeah, I made up a lot of stuff as a kid.
Oh my God, I didn't.
You need to look up online like stories of what 7-year-old girls do. And some of them are quite creepy.
Jeez. What do you?
But yeah,
I want to come over again.
The puppeteer is super creepy. Super creepy.
Yeah. She's
and,
like, oh my God, you're my new best friend.
And she's never even really met Isolde. She's just talking to her mind to mind.
And for half the book, Isolde is like, I don't think this person exists. I think I'm going crazy.
So obviously, like the book leaves off with Safi going with the Empress of Marstock, saying that she'll go with her if if Marstock trades with New Brevna, because she's come to really care about Merrick and care about his cause too. Like, seeing the people of New Brevna starving really opened her eyes to, like, she has power and she needs to be doing things to help people. She can't just selfishly live her own life and let her people her people die. Merrick really helped with that in seeing how he, even though he wasn't supposed to inherit the throne, how much he cared about his people and wanted to help them, really inspired her to try and help too, and help change the world. So Safi and Isolde at one point swam into the water well and swam to its very center, which only the Karawen can do.
And then, poof!
The water well seemed to be healing itself.
Oh, but earthquakes happen all the time.
Yeah, there was an earthquake right then and there that happened because of it. And yeah, like all sorts of like craziness happened because, you know, a water well rejuvenating itself wouldn't cause craziness to happen. So the book leaves off with Safi going with the Empress of Marstock, Isolde trying to find a way to track Safi down because they're separated now. Merrick going. I'm trying to remember where Merrick was before the start of Windwitch.
I know, I'm stuck.
Edwin's headed back to his father. I know that. I'm convinced Edwin and Isolde are going to end up together.
And I'm convinced when that happens, I need to not be on my Kindle. I would rather burn a library book than throw my Kindle against the wall.
Maybe you'll like him more by that point. I have the feeling his father's abusive, and you're going to start feeling sympathy for him in the next book.
Oh, look. No.
But yeah, so we very much enjoyed the book. We're obviously reading the next one now. How it's going to work with this series is, because it's not complete yet, we're going to read Windwitch and then discuss, and then we're going to read Sightwitch. And after Sightwitch, we are going to switch over to a different series. I can't remember what we discussed. We were discussing something specific.
Circe.
Yes.
And the book that comes before it.
Book of Achilles. Until Bloodwitch comes out next year.
I should probably read an easier version of like the Odyssey and the Iliad and all of that.
What was that you're mumbling?
I should read an easy version of the Iliad and the Odyssey.
I'm not sure that's necessary.
But I want to. But I don't want to read the actual books. I want to read like a kid's version. Maybe I should just watch Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Well, I will agree that is a hero's journey and possibly inspired by the Odyssey.
It is very much inspired by the Odyssey.
I don't think it counts.
Tell that to my English teacher in whatever grade I read the Odyssey in. After we read the book, we watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
I think that might have been 10th grade.
That might have been your 10th grade. I don't know what grade it was for me.
True.
I think it was 9th grade for me. And then 11th grade, we read the Iliad.
9th grade, we read excerpts from Romeo and Juliet in my 9th grade.
They read that in 8th grade at my school.
Well, not everybody's school's all fancy and private.
We were reading The Tempest in 9th grade. In 10th grade, it was Macbeth. In 11th grade, it was Hamlet.
No, we read excerpts from Antigone because, of course, we didn't read the entire thing.
Oh, God, no.
We read segments in class.
Oh, we didn't read it in class.
Yeah, we had to read it in class.
Which means that
Robin, we didn't have enough textbooks for people to take them home.
We had to buy our books.
Private school.
Yeah.
Most people's parents were rich. Except scholarship students like yourself.
I guess 2/3 is most people.
Yes. 2/3 is most of the class.
So well, the other third, we were all living in the dorms and we were all broke.
Well, you were scholarship students.
Yes.
I'm assuming the cost of your books was covered in your tuition.
No.
It wasn't.
No.
Parents had to buy your books flat out?
Yes.
Boy, even U of M wasn't that bad. You at least gave us a stipend from our financial aid for books. It didn't really cover everything.
It was like, here, you need this long list of books.
Wow.
Although, like I said, there was always at least one English book a year that I actually liked.
Did you have to get them from like a bookstore on campus, or could you get them from could you just order? Would it be stuff that you could order from anywhere?
You could order from anywhere, and kids would sell their books off at the end of the year.
So it wasn't like you had to buy a $300.
No, not necessarily. I can't remember how much our books were. I don't think they were that much.
Because we had, I'm sure you remember, we had to buy like $150 activity books that our teachers had made themselves.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. And I hated waiting in line at the copy shop.
Yeah, no, I bought anything I could online through half.com and then sold them back at half.com because you get more money that way than trying to sell them at the campus bookstore. But anyway,
I'm surprised we were on topic this long.
Yeah, I know, right? So we are super excited to start Wind Witch because hopefully it'll focus mostly on Merrick, and we love him. He's adorable.
Him. Oh, I love Mary.
After that will be Sight Witch, which is actually a prequel story about Ryber, who is she's on Merrick. She's one of Merrick's crew on his ship.
And Cullen's girlfriend.
Black. One of the reasons why we started this series is because Robin saw the cover of Sight Witch and she has braids, and Robin was sold.
That's all it really took, really.
Yeah. Robin likes seeing people that look like her on book covers. So
especially fantasy book covers, just saying, Writers out there, get to work.
Because it's such a rare thing for her to find people that look like her on book covers. It's becoming less rare, thankfully.
Thank God.
But
it only took
if you have
29 years of my life.
If you have any fantasy novels that have Black girls on the cover, send them to us. We will probably read them.
Or, I mean, even if they're not on the cover, if they're in the book and they are a main character, don't have it be.
Which is why we need to read the Fallen Isles books as well.
Okay.
The first one is Before She Ignites.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty.
Yes. It's got dragons, too. Just in case you weren't sold by the light-skinned Black girl on the cover.
I also, that whole don't judge a book by its cover, I 100% judge a book by its cover.
We do judge books by their cover all the time.
And I have found some really good books like that.
If a book has a pretty cover, we are 150 times more likely to pick it up. And the prettier the cover, the faster we'll pick it up.
Wicked lovely.
So comment with pretty covered books and books with and honestly, they don't even have to be Black girls. We'd actually take anything that's not white.
We'll take the white people too.
Yes, we will. But we like representation, so if you have any books that have a variety of cast, very different people, we'd love that. The more suggestions we can get, the better.
We just like to read.
We do, especially fantasy.
Yeah.
Though next month, starting in July, I'm going to be reading something called, I think it's, hold on a second, let me look. I'm going to be reading a book called From Twinkle with Love. It's about an Indian girl.
Okay.
It was my owl.
Okay.
I get Owl Crate. And it's the book for the month of June, so I'll be reading it like beginning in July for a book club. Spoiler alert, but most people should already have them by now. They shipped out earlier this week.
We need to get around to pimping out Maria Snyder again.
We also need to get around to pimping out Kristen. Yes. Though I think we both agreed we should wait until we have a bigger following for that one.
I say we just pimp it out every video.
Yeah. Read Unblessed by Kristen Goodwin, everyone. It's amazing.
Very much so. She's still working on that last book.
I still need to get Fire Blessed signed by her too. Then I'll have a complete set of signed books by her until Dual Blessed comes out anyway. But yeah, Blessings of Marilla is amazing. Maria Snyder's amazing. I think of some of our other favorites.
I think those two need the most pimping.
Yes.
Like the other ones, they're doing okay.
Yeah. So Kristen's very unknown. Maria is a little bit better known, but she's been dropped by her publisher. So the more we can get her books out there and get them bought, the better. Because she says she's going to self-publish if she can't find a new publisher, which is great and fine because we love her books and we will keep buying them. But the more we can get people paying attention, buying her books, the more likely she'll get signed by somebody. And that's always better for her because then she doesn't have to spend her own money just to keep publishing because she's good enough to be an established author.
Oh my God, she's so good.
One other thing I want to mention is go read the Game Board of the Gods books by Rochelle Mead. Rochelle Mead's amazing. Most people know her. She did Vampire Academy. She's doing The Glittering Court. It's an adult novel, but it's Game Board of the Gods, and I can't remember what the other one was. Crown of Star, like
Okay, you're supposed to be the one with a better memory than me.
The series is called Age of X. So it's Game Board of the Gods and the Immortal Crown. That's what it is, the Immortal Crown. Go read them because that series was dropped by Rochelle Mead's publisher. She says she's going to self-publish the third book and the following books, but her contracted books come first, obviously, because she's contracted to write them and is required to by law. So it's been a few years since Immortal Crown came out, and book 3 still doesn't have a title yet.
Well, that's because, oh wait, no, I'm thinking of SJM, who puts out like 50 books a year.
So read them, buy them, review them, help get these books, like these book series, continued, and encourage the authors and help them do better, because we need to support good content. We need to support enjoyable content. We need to support these books that are so amazing that, like, even if you're not going to read it for years, go buy them. Because honestly, these authors need support. They need representation. They need us to be purchasing stuff so that they can keep writing and they can keep doing the things that they love, that we love to consume. If you love an author, buy their books. It's as simple as that. It really helps them. It helps prove that their work is worth the publisher sticking with them.
Yes.
It hurts everybody for us to not, like, I get books from the library all the time, but like the main ones that I do that with are books that I'm not sure if I want to buy. When it's a new author or one that I'm not super familiar with, I'll borrow it from the library, and then if I love it, I go out and buy it. Like I did with the Moss books. Like I read the first 2 A Court of books, and I bought them, pre-ordered.
How did you get through the first one, though?
What?
How did you get through the first one?
Because I knew Tamlin wasn't endgame.
Okay.
That's the only reason I continued.
Okay.
But once I was like halfway through Mist and Fury, I was like, I'm buying this. I pre-ordered the third one. I went out and bought the entire series of Throne of Glass.
Get on that.
I'm getting there. Elide and Lorcan just got reunited with the rest. That's where I'm at right now.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
I'll
be honest. I don't remember very much of what happens in that book except for the end.
But I think I'm gonna have to sign off here. It's getting late. Read books.
I was the one in a dark room halfway asleep.
Read books. If you want, go ahead and read Wind Witch before we do our next discussion. And
I suggested it, otherwise we will spoil it.
Yes. Yes. Sign on and discuss it with us. We can be on, like, we'll look on Twitter under the hashtag Book Buddies Live for anything related to us if you want. Yes, we made our own hashtag because I'm awesome.
Dude, we're live. We're awesome.
You haven't used the hashtag yet, and it upsets me.
Dude, I haven't been on Twitter in a long time.
So we'll be on there. We can monitor the feeds on I believe there should be a way for people to sign on here.
Yes, there is.
We can share the link. Like, I shared it on Twitter tonight. Like, we want you guys involved. We want to be able to hear from you, get your feedback on the books too. Book Buddies is not just me and Robin. It's all of us.
It's not?
No, it's our followers too.
No. I am not buddies with our followers.
We are all book buddies. We're all the book community.
I will accept community.
All right. I'm signing off. Bye.
Bye.
See you next time, YouTube.